each year it's gotten a little worse.
Finish playing football and they don't have anything. We talk a lot about NIL and the transfer portal on this channel, so I think it's very important that we hear it from the goat's mouth himself, Nick Saban. Like, now we talked about it because he ranted about it about 3 weeks ago about the transfer portal, how it's changed college football, but he went in on a little deeper. I would say I don't want to say he went off, but he went into details on the things that he had disdain about. So he's on the Pat McAfee show, of course. He don't play about them copyright, so it's small box. We got something else playing in the background. Let's hear what he has to say about the modern state of college football. If you enjoyed this coverage, man, if you enjoy these videos, please leave a like on this video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you enjoy college football content.
Going to have lasting impressions, I think, on a lot of things. Hopefully the dogs survive. You know, that is kind of, and I'm not talking about Georgia Bulldogs, although I do believe their program is built with a lot of dogs. I'm just talking about the dogs will survive through it all, even in the new era. I believe that wholeheartedly. Rhett Lashley actually said to us yesterday, he said, the days of what Nick Saban was able to do, and he complimented you, he's saying this is a good thing, where you just stack up five-star recruiting class and you have a pipeline almost, which you had, obviously. And we've heard a lot of guys that have gone to Alabama come out and say that when you're recruiting them, you actually told them, like, not sure if you're going to play your first 2 years, but every day of practice, you're going to be playing against the best people at their position in the country. So you're going to get better, you're going to get better. Then when your time comes, you're going to be ready for the moment, and then bang, you're going to be in the NFL. He doesn't think that's possible anymore because these five stars or these recruiting classes, they're not going to sit for a year or two, because if they just put their name in a portal, there's a chance they're going to get $800,000, $1 million, and playing time immediately. Do you agree with that? And did you think about that whenever you were thinking about retirement from coaching?
Well, I think it's obviously good for the players if they can make that kind of money, as college players, which was, never allowed. We weren't allowed to have anything prior to 5 years ago. But I do think on the development side of it, it is not beneficial to players. I think that when you have to go out and compete, and I don't think you can be a good competitor, you mentioned it, if you can't overcome adversity. I mean, that's a part of being a good competitor. I mean, I don't care what sport you're playing or when you're playing, if it's golf, if it's tennis, if it's soccer, I don't care what it is. There's going to be times when, you have a bad play. There's something that you have to overcome. And I think people learn to do that in the process of development and what they have to do to get better so they can compete. And you're absolutely right. All I ever promised a guy was an opportunity. And I said, you're going to have an opportunity. I told Jonathan Allen, you're going to practice every day against Cam Robinson. All right, he's going to win the Outland Trophy. You're going to win the Outland Trophy. All right, but that's how you're going to get better. And guys bought into that because they were looking to the future. How can I develop value for my future? Now guys are looking to, where can I develop value right now, today? What can I get today? So it's less about playing and being a great player and more about, what can I get instantly, in terms of getting in the portal or going to another school? And, nobody talks about the college experience anymore. Nobody talks about graduation. All these things are probably important to the future. And, I actually coached 25 years ago when not very many guys graduated. And there were a lot of stories out there about, guys that didn't do very well when they, got out in the real world and they couldn't play anymore. So I know there are people like yourself who have done extremely well.
Thank you.
And there'll always be cases like that, but there's going to be a lot of people that they should use their football playing opportunities to, develop a career outside the game so they can have success when they can't play.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about this because before we get deeper into it, because I think he's going to take about it deeper about it. I think the negatives of NIL are very obvious and pronounced, and I think we talked about another video more focused on Deion Sanders and his perspective. And we got deeper into it about agents, right? And kind of how Nick Saban and Pat McAfee are alluding to, like, there can be a lot of negatives in taking that instant money, right? And a lot of negatives, but a lot of those things may be hidden. It might have to be something that you have to find. But I want to stick on something that he said when he said some players finish playing football and they don't have anything, right? And I think that is I don't want to say catch 22 because I'm not smart enough to know if I'm using that terminology correct, but that's like the gotcha of the whole NIL thing. And the reason why I was so pro NIL, because I would see people like, and Cam Newton, no problem, right? He good. He got his contract. He got his money. He's cool. But hypothetically, the way people talk about Cam Newton, if he were to only just get his first contract in what's it called, Carolina, and that be it, people would look at him as even a bigger failure than they already look at him as. They look at him as a washed whatever. He couldn't make it. He couldn't win the Super Bowl. Blah blah blah. But when you really look at it, Heisman, a winner, national champion player, what, number one overall, I believe, pick that Cam was. I forgot, but at least first round pick. Like, do we take all of these accomplishments in your athletic career away because it stopped or it wasn't as phenomenal at the NFL level? Like, he won the Heisman and a national championship. Like, I don't know what else. There aren't many people who have done that. Done that and also had a successful career in the NFL. And by all metrics and means, go look at the averages. Cam Newton had a successful NFL career. So it's hard for me to look at that. And Cam Newton is a case where I know it's more of a positive case where we don't have to get nasty and talk about the negatives of it. But I think that's good because we can talk hypothetically, right? And we can say that, hey, he was somebody who, even though he was in school for a while, who might have not been set up if hypothetically he didn't have anything go great for him, because he made that national champion. He created a national championship, helped Auburn do that, got a Heisman, and supposedly got paid no money for it, right? And we could argue here about money before NIL deals, yada yada yada. What we can clearly all say is it wasn't this much money. Okay, if everybody has their speculation about money and stipends and however, okay, cool. But we can all agree that this money is different. It's like the Saudi money came in. I don't know, on a very very small scale. So like it's. To tell somebody your odds of making it to the NFL are like, what, 5% at this point when you make it to the college football level? I don't know what the number is, 1%, 5%, whatever. And say, hey, don't take that 200,000, 100,000, could be life-altering, life-changing for an 18 to 19 to something-year-old who hasn't seen a dime, who the most he's seen is an $8 an hour job. Like, it's that's the issue there. You're telling him to plan for the future, but he feels like his future is now. What do you mean playing for the future? They talk about M's. Didn't Bryce Underwood just get a $10 million? How did it escalate so quickly? We're already at NFL numbers. Like $10 million for a kid who hasn't played football yet. Man, it's hard to coach this, but back on topic, back on track.
Backup plan is always good, even in post-retirement. I think these guys now are much more entrepreneurial savvy, if at least whenever it comes to like digital currency and social media and everything like that. But the whole everything else of what college ball used to be about, I think is obviously out the window. We'll talk to Charlie Baker in the next hour, actually, because I think that April 8th ruling will at least put some answers, but it's going to remain a lot more questions. You obviously heard the athletic director at Alabama. Whenever you promise an opportunity and then say guys are going to go to work, I guess you didn't have to spend as much money, is what people are saying. Now, it's a little different world. They'll figure it out. Roll Tide. Let's talk about Go ahead.
Pat, each year it's gotten a little worse. Like, the first year we had name, image, and likeness 4 or 5 years ago, we had a $3 million and everybody was happy. All right, then the next year it was 7. Then the next year it's 10. Then this year it's 13. Now they're looking at 20. I mean, where does it end? And the people who are supporting this, they really get no benefit for it. And I'm sure that there's going to be some instances in the future where those people don't want to continue to support players that aren't there. I mean, how would you feel if you gave them $500,000 to your program and it was to pay certain players and those players all left after 1 year? You would say, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this.
Yeah, it seems like a poor investment there. Whenever these people have a lot of money, they can invest in a lot of things and their money can make money. They're investing to support their school, but then whenever that money just vanishes and there's nothing, it's like, what am I even doing? I don't even get a parking spot.
Yeah,
I don't even get a parking spot in this entire thing. Wild, Wild West. Hopefully it'll get settled. We'll talk to Charlie Baker about that. Let's move to these games. Tomorrow night.
That was all that he had to say there, and I think it's poignant because the biggest thing there is that, just like I said, the escalation. Like, he speaks to how crazy things have gotten. I feel so quickly, right? And I brought this up in the last video, but I already tell you. There was a quote back in 2021 when Bryce Young was a freshman, when Nick Saban was like, hey, Bryce Young has deals approaching 7 figures. And Bryce Underwood has a $10 million contract. And now, I'm not sure if y'all have heard of Odell's contract that he took with the Rams, right? But now you have USC linebacker Mate. I can't pronounce that big dog. He's accepting part of his NIL earnings in Bitcoin. First off, this crazy bull market right now. For any of my crypto people, like Bitcoin, isn't it still above 100,000? Like, it's crazy time. But that's what people said to Odell too, and it's paying off. So, I mean, I think that's insane in its own right that people are taking money for Bitcoin, not in a bad way, but just it crazy. And then I want to end this with a positive thing. I want to end this by the fact that a class act, Travis Hunter, took zero money from Colorado's NIL collective. Instead, he pays for the NIL deals of 10 to 15 teammates, per Deion Sanders Jr. Travis also flew 50-plus staff and teammates to the Heisman ceremony, a remarkable player and human being, and that's all anyone ever says about Travis Hunter. Nothing about him being a... Anyway, for real, shout out to Travis Hunter. That's a phenomenal story, and please remember that there is a lot of great stories in NIL. There's a lot of people donating and giving back and adding more opportunities to their teammates, to their schools, to their places that they're going ahead and committing to. But it's at the end of the day, it is a wild, wild west. And it's a lot of craziness going on. People taking stuff with Bitcoin, agents getting into it. And, I think Nick Saban, it might be one of the better commenters on it, because as much of an old fogey as you can call him, as much of a whatever you can call him, I think Nick Saban does a decent job at least keeping it completely truthful when it comes to those things. But hey, man, if y'all enjoyed this video, if you got any remarks about NIL deals, go ahead and leave them down below. Do you think it's ruining college football? Do you think it's great for the players to have that opportunity? Where do you sit on that fence, man? Leave a like on the video if you like it. Did I say that twice? Well, then like it twice. Subscribe, bell icon, all that fun stuff. Be phenomenal. Be great. I hope you have a phenomenal holiday season with you and your loved ones. See you next time.